Welcome back to Economic Outlook. Today I'm going to give my thoughts on the previous decade of financial and economic events. This will be my own personal perspective, but I want to relate these events to other individuals by looking at how they impact a variety of personal financial decisions. First, I'll give a summary of the events of the past decade, and then we'll look at exactly how these events may have affected the average American. The beginning of the decade was defined by optimism. New technology helped the economy grow at an impressive rate, and it also created new jobs. People expected to be able to enter into jobs at high salaries and advance quickly. However, after the technology bubble crashed and the terrorist attacks of September 11th occurred, markets were shaken, and the employment picture became oversaturated with too many talented individuals and not enough jobs. The Federal Reserve responded to the collapse of the technology bubble by lowering interest rates. At the same time, our country developed an insular posture toward foreign relations and became more xenophobic as a whole. As the Federal Reserve lowered interest rates, it became easier for home buyers, banks, and other entities to lend and borrow money. This created the conditions that eventually caused the housing bubble, but at first, these did help to stabilize the economy and prevent a long recession or depression. As the Federal Reserve kept interest rates low, the United States saw increasing trade deficits with other countries. At the same time, innovative financial products like securitization allowed the housing market to begin to increase in value. Basically, securitization allowed the sale of mortgages to foreign governments as a form of debt. With lending rates low, there was a strong incentive for banks to lend money to consumers. These consumers then bought houses, and the mortgages were pooled and then sold. This created a self-fulfilling cycle where more people had more easy access to capital. This began to drive home values up. At the same time, there was little concern for inflation. Eventually, years of low interest rates began to drag on the economy. Consumers overextended their lines of credit, and banks began to have trouble repackaging and selling the mortgage-backed securities that had been so profitable for many years. This created the conditions for the liquidity crisis and the spike in commodity prices that finally caused the economy to overheat and enter into a state of collapse. By the end of the decade, the liquidity crisis hit America, and our financial system was almost ruined. Poor risk control, moral hazard, and years of overextended credit finally destroyed many financial institutions and ruined the values of many Americans' homes. After a series of market crashes and a global panic, recovery has been slow. Companies are reluctant to rehire workers, even though economic indicators are trending up slightly. Most observers suspect that recovery will be a drawn-out process over the next several years, and job growth will significantly lag typical economic indicators. Additionally, the global geopolitical situation is as difficult as ever. Issues like terrorism, genocide, funding for programs to end climate change, to help fight disease, and to help animal welfare are all in serious jeopardy. This creates an unparalleled opposite to the beginning of the decade, which began with such optimism. Now it seems there are only negatives. Now, to help explain how these events relate to individuals, I want to look at a series of metrics that are applicable directly to people's personal finances.